Welcome back to 65 Drums. My name's Justin. So recently, I got a chance to play the brand new ATV EXS-5SK at a giant music convention that just happened in California. So I wanted to share my thoughts about the good, the bad, and whether or not it's worth buying. So starting off with the drum shells, we get an 18-inch kick drum, we get a 13-inch snare, the toms are 10 and 10 for the high toms, and 13 inches for the floor tom. The cymbals are 14 inches for the two-piece hi-hats, and you get two separate 14-inch crash cymbals. And finally, the ride cymbal is 16 inches across. All these cymbals have 360 triggering, so if they spin the wrong way, it doesn't really matter. All the cymbals also are capable of 3 zones, but whether or not you get 3 zones on each of the cymbals depends on the module sound set and what cables you've plugged in. Now, as far as hardware, you got a fairly decent drum rack. It's not like flagship level, but it's heavy duty and it's spacious enough for the pads that it comes with. Just be aware the kick drum pedal, the hi-hat stand, the drum throne, and the headphones are not included. I believe the snare drum stand comes in the box because they didn't put it in the list of things that don't come included. Now moving over to the drum module, this thing is very, very basic. It comes preloaded with 5 high quality kits of uncompressed sounds, and then if you go to the ATV website, you can download a bunch of extra ones for free from their website. The module comes with an SD card in the box, so what you do is you plug that into your computer, you download an extra couple of kits that you like off the website, and then you plug that back into the module. The module also has a built-in song player, a built-in recorder, and a built-in metronome. On the back, you get the main right and left outputs, in addition to your headphone jack, an input for Crash 2, a classic 5-pin MIDI port, USB MIDI, and an SD card slot. And there's also an aux input, and the main cables that you plug into the module are used via this cable snake connection. I think it's a DB25. Now, as far as module editing capabilities, like adjusting the tuning or reverb, it can't do any of that. It currently costs $2,800. There's a bunch of different competition around this price range from companies like Roland and Alesis and F-Note and stuff, but we'll talk about that in the second part of the video. All right, so let's go ahead and start covering the pros and cons, the strengths and weaknesses of this drum set, in my opinion. When I sat down to play this, immediately what you notice is that the pads are all high quality. I don't have any worries about this breaking over the years. I think this is all very well built. The cymbals are very high quality. They're premium flagship level cymbals, the same stuff that comes on the ATV A-Drums line. The hi-hats feel great. It's a 2-piece 14-inch set. They are a little bit louder than a 1-piece version, but they trigger very well for what they are. The ride cymbal is decently sized at 16 inches across. It's got a good bell zone, the bow area all triggers very well. It's a nice ride cymbal. I actually own the Step Up, the 18-inch version, and I've liked it. I've been using it for years. But of course, the star of the show is the fact that you get the higher end kick drum and snare drum. The funny thing is the snare drum is actually the exact same size as what comes on the lower end kit. They're both 13 inches across, but now you get that second raised wood rim, so it's better for cross stick players. And also, it's a little bit of a deeper shell. It's a little bit heavier. The kick drum is a much bigger upgrade in my opinion though, because you're going from what I believe was like a 12-inch pad over to an 18-inch drum with an actual shell. This not only looks cooler, but it's not cosmetic only. It also feels heavier. The drum rack is also pretty nice. I think it's decently heavy duty for the class of drum set that it's in, and it feels spacious enough for me. I think there's enough room where you could move that floor tom down a little bit and take the second high tom and move that down to the floor as a second floor tom if you really wanted to. It's also flexible with the cymbal boom arms so you can get the exact right angle for your playing. And of course, the snare drum isn't weighing down the drum rack because it's on its own unique stand. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that what I appreciate most about the drum set is the actual drum set. The cymbals are high quality, they trigger well, and they're very well built. The drums look nice, they're high quality, they're well built, they trigger very well. That's the main strength of the drum set. Now moving over to the cons, like the weaknesses of the drum set in my opinion, it really comes down to the drum module. The drum module is kind of kneecapping the potential of the drum set in my opinion. If you take a look at the pricing of everything, the drum module is only a $300 drum module, and it's matched against a pad set that costs over $2,000. So it's not really evenly matched in my opinion. And this shows up in a lot of different ways. For example, none of the toms have rim zones. Like the physical pads, I think actually have rim zones, but the module doesn't really have the sounds or the capabilities of sensing a rim zone. Also, to my knowledge, all the pads are already maxed out. If you want to add a couple of extra crash cymbals or an extra tom, I don't think you have the ability to even do that. Most modules on drum sets of this price range, they'll have 2 extra inputs, one for crash 2 and one for an extra tom or whatever it is you want it to be. Another big issue is that they should have all those 18 kits already inside the module. I shouldn't have to go to the website and download them, they should already be in there. And the final weakness is the lack of any editing features at all. Here's a list that I thought of what other drum sets of this price range are capable of doing, and the ATV drum set just isn't. For example, I should be able to add reverb to the sounds. Otherwise, these sounds are pretty dry. I should be able to use compression on the sounds, and this drum set can't do that. I should be able to use EQ. Like if I want the kick drum to sound more bassy, I should be able to increase the low end with a simple 3-band EQ, or even a kit-wide EQ, and this module can't do that. I should be able to adjust the attack and release times. Both Roland and Yamaha, they both let you do that. This drum set is not capable of that. Also, layering is missing. If I wanted to add 2 snare drums on top of each other to get a really cool sound combination, this module can't do that. I should also be able to download third-party sounds from my laptop. If I have a one-shot sample of a cowbell, for example, I should be able to bring that in, but I can't. Now, it will depend on you whether or not this matters. Like, not everybody likes to edit sounds, but other people do, and they want to be able to shape the snare drum sound to fit exactly what they're looking for. And if that's you, this drum set isn't really geared towards that kind of buyer. So those are the pros and cons in my opinion. But now let's talk about who this drum set is actually best suited for. In my opinion, this is a great drum set for people that just want a simple, high quality drum set that triggers great at low latency, and they don't have to mess around with the module that much. They just want a simple interface, and they're not going to spend all kinds of hours messing with the sounds. It's also great for the people that are always complaining that drum modules have too many electronic sounds on them. This is geared towards acoustic drummers or people that like acoustic sounds specifically. And because the drum set has high quality components and triggers very well, this is a solid kit to buy for triggering drum software. So if you rely on Steven Slate or Addictive Drums or Superior Drummer as your sound source, this drum set could be a solid option. Meanwhile, on the flip side, if you need your drum set to have lots of direct outs, if you need your drum set to be able to edit the sounds a lot, if you need to be able to bring in lots of third-party samples via one-shot import, if you need to do any of that stuff, this module and this drum set are not a good fit. I think it's worth buying for a specific type of customer. It's basically ATV's version of the Roland TD25 KVX, because the form factor is very similar. You got the larger kick drum, you got a higher end snare, and you got components from the step-down tier. All right, so now let's take a look at the competition. Currently, there are about 5 drum sets at this price range that you need to consider if you're about to spend this amount of money. So right now it looks like the Elisa Strike Pro SE at $2,700, the F-Note 3X coming in at $2,700, the Yamaha DTX 8KM coming in at $2,800, the ATV EXS-5SK coming in at $2,800, and for $100 more, the Roland VAD 306 coming in at $2,900. All right, so the good news here from that list is that they're all good drum sets. Like, I can't point at any drum set there that is just a horrible option nobody should buy. The truth is they all have pros and cons. They're all different and they're good at things and bad at other things. So if you're shopping in this price range, just write down a list of the most important attributes of a drum set to you, what you need the drum set to be capable of, and then shop accordingly. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is ATV's current spot in the electronic drum marketplace. This new release has gotten me thinking about the last time ATV has put out a brand new drum set. So I went back and looked at my master list. I've got a giant 70-page document of every electronic drum company and what they've released in what year. And it looks like they haven't come out with any other drums since 2018. Since then, they've kind of been treading water. They put out software patches, this, that, and the other. In 2019, they did talk about an ATV A-Drums Pro and an expansion module for the 85 and some sort of like relationship with a third-party shell wrap company. But then I think that project got canceled or shelved. The expansion module got canceled or shelved, so nothing ever really came of that. This is the first brand new drum set they've come out with since 2018. And even now, this is just a mixture of pads they were already producing, just in a slightly different configuration. So it seems like ATV has been treading water for a while. I want them to actually release something that gets the electronic drum industry excited about the brand ATV again. Hopefully, this brand new drum set is a sign that they're working towards that and they're going to stay relevant long term. But I guess I'll just have to wait and see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you all in a few.